Have you ever heard of the man who sold a $500 billion company for just a few $1,000s? It sounds like a crazy urban legend, but it's a true story. This is the tale of Ronald Wayne, the forgotten founder of Apple. Back in 1976, long before iPhones and MacBooks were in every household, three men started a company in a garage. We all know two of them, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. The third was Ronald Wayne. Wayne was the adult in that room, an experienced engineer brought in to guide the two young visionaries. He drew the very first Apple logo, a detailed sketch of Isaac Newton under an apple tree. He also wrote the original partnership agreement that defined the roles of the three founders. For his contribution, he received a 10% stake in the new company. So, what happened? Why isn't Ronald Wayne a household name like Jobs and Wozniak? Well, just 12 days after the company was formed, Wayne got cold feet. He was older, had a house and assets to protect, and he was worried about the potential financial risks. Steve Jobs had just secured a deal to sell 50 Apple-like computers, but to fulfill the order, they had to take out a $15,000 loan. Under their partnership agreement, if Apple went belly up, all three founders would be personally responsible for the debt. Wayne wasn't willing to risk his personal savings for what he saw as a volatile venture, so he made a decision that would change his life forever. He sold his 10% stake back to Jobs and Wozniak for just $800 today. That 10% stake would be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Can you even imagine that? Walking away from a fortune that large is almost unthinkable. It's easy for us to look back now and call it the biggest business mistake in history. We see Apple as a global giant, but in 1976, it was just a risky startup run by two kids in a garage. Wayne made a decision based on the information and experience he had at the time. He chose security over a high-risk gamble. For decades, people have asked him if he regrets it. His answer is surprisingly philosophical. He says he probably would have ended up in the back office, buried under paperwork for 20 years. And that wasn't the life he wanted. He wanted to be an engineer, to design and create. He felt he didn't belong in the corporate machine that Apple was destined to become. He made the best decision for himself at that moment, protecting his family and his peace of mind. He even said, "I would have been the richest man in the cemetery." This story isn't just about a missed opportunity. It's a fascinating look at the nature of risk, timing, and personal priorities. What is success? Is it just about money, or is it about living a life that's true to yourself? Ronald Wayne's story forces us to ask these questions. While he may have missed out on unimaginable wealth, he lived his life on his own terms. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the choices we make are far more complex than just dollars and cents. What would you have done in his shoes? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories. He sold the future, and the future didn't wait for him. After the sale, the founder tried to move on. He took another job, started smaller projects, tried consulting, but nothing ever felt the same. Because deep down, he knew something important was gone. Not money, control. Meanwhile, the company entered a phase no one could have predicted. New leadership arrived. Not builders, operators. They didn't care about the original vision. They cared about scale. They cared about dominance. They cared about locking people in. The product was no longer just useful. It became essential. Businesses couldn't function without it. Governments depended on it. Entire industries reorganized around it. And once dependency is created, pricing power follows. Revenues exploded, margins widened, competitors disappeared. Some were acquired, some were crushed, some simply gave up. The market stopped asking whether the company was valuable. It started asking how much power it should be allowed to have. By then, it was too late. Regulators arrived late. Lawmakers asked questions late. Public concern came late. The company had already embedded itself everywhere: phones, servers, infrastructure, data pipelines, supply chains. What began as a modest business became an invisible backbone of the modern economy. Valuation milestones were crossed quietly at first. 10 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. Each number felt unreal. Then came 500 billion, $500 billion. From a $10,000 decision, the founder saw the headlines. He saw documentaries being made. He saw analysts praising the company's brilliance. He saw young entrepreneurs idolizing its leadership. And he realized something devastating. History didn't remember him as the creator. It remembered him as the man who let it go. People asked him the same question over and over. Do you regret selling? He never gave a dramatic answer. He just said it made sense back then, because regret is easy in hindsight, but fear is powerful in the present. At the time he feared failure, he feared debt, he feared uncertainty, and the buyer understood something he didn't. In technology, timing beats talent, ownership beats effort, and patience beats intelligence. The founder built the seed, but he didn't stay long enough to see the tree, and trees reward those who wait. The final irony is this. The $10,000 didn't change his life much, but the company changed the world, and that's the cruel rule of capitalism. You can be right too early. You can build something important, and still lose everything that matters. Because markets don't reward creation, they reward control. And control belongs to those who can wait the longest while everyone else gives up. So when you hear stories of billionaires, remember this one. A man who built something priceless, sold it for survival, and watched it become a $500 billion empire without him. This is why timing is everything. This is why ownership matters more than effort. And this is why the most expensive decisions are the ones that feel safe. Because sometimes, the biggest loss in history looks exactly like a smart exit. Welcome to Finance Unmasked, where money is never just money, and the real cost is always invisible at first.